A few weeks ago, I reviewed a Thomson Cast 152 4K ultra high definition streaming device which had 32 gigabytes of RAM, and I received lots of great comments on this particular device, lots of great questions. So I'm going to answer some of those questions today. I've got some questions I can answer myself. Some I've had to get in touch with Thomson themselves to answer the questions. And they were very good in coming back to me very quickly with the answers to all my questions. Now, as I said in the original video, this is a great little device. It's a budget device, but yet it still does 4K ultra high definition and has got a massive storage of 32 gigabytes, which compared to a Firestick, now standard Firestick has only got 8, 4K Max has got 16, so it's a huge amount of memory. If you're one of those people that just loves overloading your system with loads of great apps, then yeah, this is the one for you. So let's just have a look at some of the questions that I've got. Now, the first comment is actually more of a statement than a question, but I'm going to answer it anyway. And this says, no thank you, 2 gigs of RAM, that's pathetic in 2026. Well, not really. At the moment, chip prices have gone through the roof, so understandably manufacturers are really trying to keep the price of devices down to a minimum. So just having a look at this, okay, it's only got 2 gigabytes of RAM, which isn't that pathetic, to be quite honest with you, because just have a look. There's no lag in scrolling around. And if I try, say for instance, loading an app, let's go into Netflix. There you go. It wasn't that slow, was it, to load up Prime Video? I mean, come on, let's face it, if you can't wait 2 or 3 seconds for an app to load, then yeah, you are really impatient. There we go, Prime Video loading up. And I obviously can't show you it playing content because I don't have the license to do that. But when I'm actually playing content, there's absolutely no lag. There's been no problem with it whatsoever. Just go into YouTube. Let's just go in and let's watch as a guest. As you can see, everything here is really, really quick. There you go, scrolling through. So quick. There's no problem in that. And I suppose, I mean, the technology behind the chipset is a lot better in this. It's a brand new up-to-date chipset, so it's faster. It's 20% faster than its predecessor. So really, there's no need for the extra RAM. It's a bit like cars nowadays, you know. I know at one time people used to say, or car owners, car buffs used to say, oh, I wouldn't get anything with less than a 2-litre engine. And now you can get cars with around about half that give just as good, if not better, performance. So technology, modern technology has got a lot to say, and that's the same with the chipset in this particular device. It certainly makes up for the lack of RAM. And the next comment, it's more of a cocky statement. Haha, talking about a TV license, that's a scam and you don't need it. Well, it really depends on what you're doing with a streaming device. I did speak about TV licensing when I reviewed this, and I was speaking about that if you watch live TV or the BBC iPlayer in the UK, then you do need a TV license. And here on the TV licensing website, it actually says, streaming a TV program live, you'll need a TV license. A streaming service is a website or an app for watching videos online. Many have on-demand content, so you can choose what to watch. Some also show live TV or events as they happen. You'll need a TV license for these. So it goes on to say services include YouTube, Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Now, Sky Go, BBC iPlayer, ITVX and more. Live TV and events can include Champions League matches or live channels on Amazon Prime Video, WWE or NFL events on Netflix, news or sports channels on YouTube, last year's Christmas specials on BBC iPlayer. And it goes on to say, what about on-demand programs? You'll need a TV license to watch any live and on-demand programs on BBC iPlayer. You don't need a TV license to watch on-demand programs on other services such as Netflix, ITVX or YouTube. But if you are watching any live content, any content that's live and is normally on TV in the UK, then yes, you do need a TV license. The next comment is a very, very good question. I don't get it. All these apps can already be installed on a smart TV. Why would you need an extra device? And taking this device with you on holiday will block access to your region's UK apps like BBC iPlayer. A smart TV also has a USB input to play videos, music and pictures from an SSD or thumb drive. For playing content from Netflix, Disney+, you must have a license which you can activate straight in the app on the TV. If I didn't get it right, then please feel free to contact me. Cheers. Well, great question. I've done a video on this before. Why do you need an extra box to plug into your TV if you've already got a smart TV? Well, firstly, you might find that your smart TV doesn't have the selection of apps that one of these Android TV devices have. It might only have a limited selection of apps. The other thing is as TVs get older, they tend to slow down. And really, it's not worth throwing away your TV and buying a whole new TV. Much cheaper to buy a box to plug into the side or the back of the TV. Also, you might well find that as well, some TVs, as they get older, they lose the licensing to provide that app. For instance, a lot of, I think it was Toshiba or Panasonic TVs recently lost the BBC iPlayer because Toshiba didn't renew the license with the BBC, and they're not going to, simply because the technology in this set just can't keep up with the technology that's required to run the latest versions of the app. So with regards to taking this on holiday, yes, you probably won't be able to view things like the BBC iPlayer unless you've got a really good VPN, but you can play content from other streaming services such as Amazon, Netflix, Disney+, and you don't need to have a license for it. You need to have a subscription to those platforms to be able to play these things. And the next question, Chris, could I ask what's the difference between the dongle and the 270 box? Sorry if it's a daft question. No, it isn't. Also, can you sideload other third-party apps on these via downloader? Great, easy to understand video, by the way. Okay, so let's just address the first part of the question. So the 270 has got a built-in Google speaker, so you can use it as an Android assistant. You've also got the option to plug in an Ethernet cable to it if you'd rather connect to an Ethernet, and you've got a USB socket as well. So if you want to expand the memory on the 270, then you can do that. The 270 can also play Dolby Vision. It's got a faster processor inside it, so the thing should feel faster, but like I say, the 152 is just as good, I think, as the 270. The only thing is there is no Dolby Vision on it, so you're a bit sort of if Dolby Vision is important to you and you need Ethernet and you feel you're going to need to expand the storage or plug in storage to place to stream stuff from, or you need the Google Assistant, then the 270 is a better device for you. Now the next question, do you reckon, now the next part of your question, also can you sideload other third-party apps on these via downloader? Well, if you watch the video, you will see that I did actually sideload the iPlayer app via downloader. So yes, you can. Moving on to the next comment, do you reckon BBC iPlayer will be officially added soon? Because when the Google TV streamer launched, BBC iPlayer wasn't available, but after a few months, it was officially added on the Google TV streamer. And what's the RAM on this? Well, as I said earlier in this video, the RAM is 2 gigabytes. But I had to get the answer to the other part of your question direct from Thomson themselves. And they have said, no, BBC iPlayer requires an additional certification which will not be acquired. For the customer, it's a simple no, and it's not planned for the foreseeable future. So probably not the answer that you wanted, but there you go. At least you've got an answer. At least they gave us a straight answer for that. So the next question was, can you add a USB stick via the USB-C? And this was something else I had to go to Thomson for, because I just assumed you could plug in a USB-C OTG just like you can on the Firestick, like on there you've got a micro USB OTG cable and you can expand on that. But Thomson have said, no, USB-C port is designed only for charging. There is no support for data transfer on this. So no, again, you can't do that. The next question, can you add a VPN? Yes, you can. You can add any VPN that has an app that's available in the Google Play Store or has an Android TV based app. The next question, can you sideload apps on this? Yep, I did actually demonstrate sideloading in the video. The next question, I've been without Sky since 3rd of February. I was looking at the Manhattan Aero Streaming Box. What do you recommend? I failed to get an indoor aerial working. I still have Sky Broadband. Well, interestingly enough, I'm going to be reviewing one of these Manhattan Aero box. It's a Freely box, so it basically means it streams live TV channels in the UK, just as if you had say a Humax or a Manhattan box that plugs into an aerial. So you've 2 yourself a TV guide and you can literally go through the TV guide or push the channel numbers, I believe 1, 2, 3 to get BBC, BBC Two, ITV, etc, etc, etc. So it's basically a way of getting terrestrial TV on your TV without the need for an aerial. So it really depends on what you're going to use it for. If you just want to be able to watch live TV and use the catch-up apps and Netflix and things like that, then I think the Manhattan Aero box would be good for you. I'm not sure if you can sideload on one of these boxes, but when I get my hands on one and I review it, I'm going to have a look and see if there is that option. So next question, does it support Dolby Vision? No, unfortunately, it doesn't support Dolby Vision. However, the Thomson 270 does. I'm a bit behind with modern tech and tried reading the Amazon blurb, but still can't find anything about using it as a media player. I want to be able to also watch films stored on my NAS. Will this gadget do that? And will I need more software to be installed? Thanks for any pointers. Well, yes, you can use this as a media player. There are a few options. I actually use mine. I've got a NAS and I use mine as a media player as well. I use the media player app that begins with a K, the one that we're not allowed to mention here on YouTube because for some reason they just don't seem to like that name. But if you Google Media Center that has the name beginning with a K, I'm sure that will find that for you. There are other ways of streaming it. I mean, it might be that your NAS drive has an Android TV app, as mine does, which allows you to stream it, but I do prefer that particular media center I referred to earlier. Can I connect audio receiver through HDMI without a TV? Well, I think you probably could, but then you'd still need to be able to see what you was doing on a screen somehow to enable the sound for whatever you're trying to achieve. So yes, you could do it, but I don't think it would be an ideal setup. Anyway, to get this in the US, and I think I already know the answer to this, but I did put this to Thomson to see if they're planning any kind of launch in the US, and they've said no. We are currently with our TVs and devices mostly in Europe. We will not launch in the USA in the close future, and I think the reason for that is that ONN have got the rights to produce these types of boxes in the US. They certainly, the 270 box is identical in terms of hardware to the ONN 4K box that's sold or usually sold in Walmart, but I believe at the moment they've completely sold out due to people jumping ship from the Firestick. Looks impressive compared to my Firestick 4K Max. Can this be set up for recording and add more storage? What additional adapters would be required? Well, yes, it can be set up for recording, but only on the internal memory. But there is a lot of internal memory. There's 32 gigabytes, and out of the box, I think there's about 23 gigabytes still free. So yes, you can do that, but unfortunately, you can't add more storage to it. As Thomson explained, the USB-C socket is only for power, it's not for data transfer. Excellent option to the Firestick. I would ask though, is there any possible way to power this via the USB port from the TV rather than having a power lead trailing behind the TV? It might be possible. It really depends on your TV, or certainly what ampage the USB socket is on your TV. This device requires 5 volts and 1 amp of power. Now, every USB socket, every standard USB socket should give 5 volts, but it's the ampage that's the problem. A lot of USB sockets on TVs only supply 500 milliamps or half an amp, whereas these require 1 amp to draw from. And unfortunately, what you tend to find sometimes is, I've found this with a Firestick, sometimes it'll work for a while, but then when you try to do something that's power intensive, it can't draw enough power from the TV and the device either hiccups or shuts down. So there we are. I hope I've answered all the questions. If you're interested in buying one of these and you're in the UK, then have a look in the link down below. I've got links to all my streaming devices down there. Using those links really does help support this channel. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any more questions, please feel free to post them in the comments down below.